So you want to hear about the water tank?
Yes, we want to hear about the water tanks.
Well, come on in, I'll tell you. I just want to tell you it's been a journey, it's been a challenge, huge challenge, but I think we got it behind us.
Yes.
Pretty excited.
Yes.
We finished last night with the coating. Let me summarize what we've been through just a little bit. It's been a super challenge, but when we did the blasting on the inside of the boat, we thought everything was good. But there was only one hole. This is 3 tanks. All of this, these 3 openings, are for 1 tank, and that's a 2nd tank, and that's a 3rd tank. So there's a total of 3 tanks here. And we only had 1 opening in this whole tank. And we sandblasted in there, but we realized when we got to paint it, getting ready to sand it again to paint it, number one, we couldn't reach all the way from this opening to the outer edge, and we couldn't get it sanded well. And number 2, we could feel rust up in there, which would be a horrible situation. So ultimately, we cut out, it turned out to be such a huge project, we had to cut out the tops of the tank, of this tank on this side and on this side. And then we had to, when we got that removed, we saw, what terrible trouble we had. We had rust and corrosion, and even flaky rust coming off. And we had to sandblast again and hand sand again and get all that done. We had to make new tops and cut holes in them so we could have access in the future. And ultimately weld it all back together, air pressure test it so we could make sure that they're not going to leak. And then ultimately we started the coating process. We researched the best kind of paint to use. We decided on a paint called Tanemic. We're pretty excited about it. It's probably the best potable water tank that's available on the market today. It's 100% solids. It turns out this paint is like glass. It's just so hard. Nothing penetrates it, and it has no off-gassing, whatever. There's zero leaching of any chemicals into the water, and it's actually, your tanks are certified by the U.S. government that it's safe drinking water. So it was a challenge to get in there to do this and to sand. We had to sand everything by hand again before we painted it, and to sand underneath and to get your head in there and your arm at the same time is challenging. And to sand for about a day on each tank is a pretty big challenge. And then the paint is so thick because it's 100% solids, even with 5% thinning, which is the maximum thinning. It's like peanut butter. It's a big challenge to paint the inside. Got it done last night. I think, my love, that we're ready to button this baby down. We've got these supply lines. These are the 2 deck fill lines here that come down and come under. And these are the 3 fill lines. This line for this tank, this line for that tank, and this line for the big tank in the middle. So I think we're done. I think we're ready to get it buttoned down. And I don't know about you.
It's a happy day.
Well, I'm excited.
I am too. Thank
Water
you.
tanks one more thing not to worry about. Hallelujah.
So this is just a bit more detail of the hidden rust troubles. This whole process was a big deal. And when we discovered the rust beyond our reach in the far corners of the big tank, we took a deep breath and tried to wrap our minds around this challenge. It didn't go well. We got overwhelmed, and it was extremely hard not to be sullen. The thought of going backwards was so overwhelming, not to mention the extra time and expense. With God's help, we jumped right into solving this setback. And without God's mighty word encouraging us, like Isaiah 41:13, "For I, the Lord thy God, will hold thy right hand, saying unto thee, Fear not, I will help thee." Oh, how he did, and always does. We called our good friends at Erickson Welding, Bill and Abby, and they came and assessed the welding part of this ginormous job and agreed to help us with the mountain of work ahead. So here's Abby. She's welding. She's an awesome welder. She has helped us so many times on Be Still and put a very special welding touch in many places. We don't know what we would do without her. We're so grateful for her work and for her friendship. We shared many smiles together through Be Still's refit. And with the welding and the grinding on the tanks, we knew the beautiful paint job on the inside and the outside of Be Still would blister and crack. And sure enough, it did. Took a couple weeks, long, hard, hot weeks in August to finish the welding and then to make sure the tanks were watertight. There was a couple little spots that needed to be fixed. And then it was done. Now comes the fun part. The sanding. And the sanding. And the sanding. And the sanding that had to take place before the painting. It took a day or more to sand just one of the small tanks. So now you know, and after seeing all this detail, why we're so excited over the completion of these tanks. So here you have it, the completion of the water tanks. As you know, we're pretty excited, and we'll show you a few more picture after perfect picture of the water tanks, because that's where our clean, pure drinking water is going to be coming from. Just thank you for watching. Thank you for your prayers. And here's a close-up of the corner of where all the rust was that we couldn't get to. It's gone now. The rust is gone. It's a real relief. So just remember that the infinite love of God is really encouraging, not just for us, but for you too. And as He helped pick us up, He'll pick you up too and carry you through to whatever difficulty you may be going through. And we're just so grateful that this vessel is going to be able to be used for God. And remember that you don't have to fear, because God said, I will help you. And that means you too.